Well, good morning from Casa Britannica here in the heart of Calais. This is where all the British delegation hangs out during the proceedings, and that's really important in this Convention of Biological Diversity, that we take international convention and in places like this building work out how we actually make a change. Yes, of course, in places like Colombia, but also back in our United Kingdom and British Islands. So it's really important that we get politicians from the United Kingdom out to places like Calais and involved in this Convention of Biological Diversity so that they can understand why it's absolutely imperative that we restore nature at home as part of that global effort to restore the Earth's wildlife riches and natural paradises across the globe. So we bumped into seven MPs that have come all the way out to Colombia to get involved in these negotiations. And I just think that's a really great move that we've got MPs from across the House really taking part in these nature negotiations. That surely means that maybe, just maybe, this new government will start to reverse the decline of nature that's been so catastrophic for Britain. Now, Craig catched up with them just yesterday. Over to Craig.
So I'm absolutely delighted that here at COP16 in Calais in Colombia, we've met up with a delegation of UK parliamentarians. And I think the Wildlife Trust think it's absolutely fantastic that we've got UK parliamentarians here. What we should not be having is these big international meetings that are in a separate bubble. It's so important, I think, that UK parliamentarians are here, representing their constituents, representing people in the UK and understanding what's going on here and crucially what it means back for the UK. So I'm delighted we've grabbed them all and they've taken some time out of their busy schedule to talk to us at the Wildlife Trust. So I'm going around and going to ask each of them a question. I'm going to start with a real titan, a guy that's been on this issue for years in Parliament. Barry, please introduce yourself. Tell us your constituency.
It's Barry Gardner. I'm the Member of Parliament for Brent West, which is basically Wembley in northwest London. But, if I think, why are we here? Look around you. We're here because this is about optimism for the future. This is about not the doom and gloom, because there's lots of that, but this is people coming together to solve the problems. We know what the problems are. We know about climate change. We know about desertification. We know about, freshwater problems. But we're here because unless the world works together to solve those problems, then actually we all go down the plug together. And so it really is optimistic. We've got a bunch of incredibly knowledgeable and talented members of Parliament here. We're here with the International Conservation Group in Parliament. And it's just great to be here making an impact. Yesterday we had 4 amendments to the parliamentary declaration that came out, all of which were really positive. So we're here because we want to be positive, we want to be optimistic, but we want solutions.
And I think it's great that we've got people like yourself. You've been in Parliament for how many years now, Barry?
27.
Great that we've got you here 27 years. And I know we've got parliamentarians here who just joined Parliament as well, so it's fantastic. Let's hear from Alex. Alex, tell us who you are and your constituency.
Yeah, I'm Alex Stoneman. I'm the Labour MP for Leeds Central and Headingley.
Brilliant. And I imagine, Alex, this is your first COP, is it, that you've been at? No. You've been at one before?
Montreal. I was at Montreal 2 years ago, but I've also been at many of the climate COPs, and climate and nature need to go hand in hand.
Brilliant. So what have you made of this COP so far?
It's early days in the COP, but I think what we've seen is that there is a real actual leadership by Colombia, which is one of the most biodiverse countries in the world, second most biodiverse country in the world, to ensure that we get international agreement, particularly on things like finance and on standards and on biosecurity, which is a really big issue. And the UK is playing our part, playing a leadership role. There's lots of things we need to do back home that feeds into the global work to ensure that we don't have absolutely devastating species loss. We've lost so many species in the last 50 to 100 years, and ensure that we don't see continued nature depletion. And so our role as actually the first country in the world to industrialise and one of the most nature depleted is really important here to encourage others through our own action.
Absolutely right. Well, Alex, it's very good to see you here. And Toby, I've known you for a wee while as well. And tell us your constituency.
Yeah, so I'm Toby Perkins, Member of Parliament for Chesterfield. I'm also the new chair of the Environmental Audit Committee in this Parliament.
Brilliant, Toby. Alex was just saying there that, it was getting to that point that these international agreements, they only really matter, they're only ever delivered if individual governments deliver them at home. And what do you sense is the real thing that has to be done here? How are we going to make sure that the global biodiversity framework is delivered at home in the UK?
Well, I think we're really sort of encouraged by the approach the UK government has taken here. It's taking a leadership role. It's also wanting to be ambitious at home. I think we all feel that it's our role back in Parliament to in a friendly way, keep the government's feet to the fire. So this understanding the global context and understanding what we've promised over here, knowing that we're one of the most nature depleted countries in the world, really enables us to sort of add further weight to Mary Craig and the DEFRA team and all those in government who I think have very positive intentions. We want to make sure they turn into positive deliveries.
Great, thank you very much. Mary Craig, of course, the Environment Minister who's here, so who's leading the delegation in many ways until Steve Reid, the Secretary of State, gets here at the weekend. Uman, very nice to meet you. Tell us about your constituency, and you're new into Parliament this year, aren't you?
Yes, hello, I'm Uma. I'm the new Labour Member of Parliament for Stratford and Bow, and my constituents are really pleased that I'm here in Cali, Colombia. I've already actually had emails coming in because we've had loads of emails, all of us, about the upcoming Climate and Nature Bill, and it matters to my constituents at home, it matters to people in London, it matters to people throughout the United Kingdom that the UK continues to play a leading role globally. So before I became an MP, so I've only been an MP, as you said, for a couple of months, but before I became an MP, I ran one of the world's largest climate diplomatic relations unit, and I've seen firsthand what working globally and collaboratively can achieve. So it's really important that we bring our previous experiences to Parliament and continue making the case, and that's why we're here in Cali, is to say that this ambition exists at every level of Parliament, from the government, from the ministers to us backbench MPs, through this cross-party organisation that we're here with, and I'm also the Vice Chair of the International All-Party Parliamentary Group, for International Conservation. So wearing multiple hats while I'm here today.
Well, Uma, brilliant that you're here and that you've got here so early in your time in Parliament. So huge congratulations for that, and thank you. And I think you're not alone. You've got another new MP, Cameron, who came in this year. Congratulations, Cameron, and tell us about your constituency.
So I'm Cameron Thomas, and I'm the Liberal Democrat Member of Parliament for Tewkesbury in North Gloucestershire.
And Tewkesbury, of course, is somewhere that famously has suffered quite a lot of floods over the years, not least a big concern about the impacts that climate change leads to increasing flooding there. So you must be having a real eye in these discussions, in these negotiations around climate adaptation and what we do to make ourselves more climate resilient and the use of nature in doing that.
Yeah, as much as anywhere in the UK, Tewkesbury feels the effects of climate change, and as that water table rises, Tewkesbury is impacted as much as anywhere else. And I think it's vital that Tewkesbury's voice is here, so that we not only communicate the issues we have locally, but that we can take our voice to the global stage and show the world, as part of the UK delegation, bring some leadership to this conference.
Brilliant. Well, Cameron, so good to have you here. Thank you very much. And I know you've been in discussions with Gloucestershire Wildlife Trust about some of those issues, so very good to pick those up. Now, I'm not really allowed favourites, of course, but I think I can say be delighted that my own MP, my own local MP, Pippa Halings, for MP for South Cambridgeshire, is here. And Pippa is so good for me. You know, I've come to COPs for years. So good to finally have my own local MP at one of these COPs. It's great that you're here.
It's just amazing. Thank you so much, Craig. I mean, to have one of my constituents actually here in COP, to be your MP here in COP, to be together with MPs from across all of the parties, that's what is really important, because I'm here with stories, poems, photographs of constituents who've told me their fears, their hopes, but what they want is us to work together, work cross-party, work at local level, at national level, and I've been working in this field a long time, not as an MP, and all of the countries that are here today, they've been waiting to see that the UK comes back on this stage, takes that leadership position together with them so that we can be ambitious to meet the Global Biodiversity Framework target goals together. We can't do it. No country can do it alone. It's only together. And so the sense of hope that we've heard people talk about today is because we are on a project that is a global mission together. and it's giving such hope to everybody.
Well, Pippa, great that you're here. And it's fantastic also, it's not just the House of Commons that are here, it's the House of Lords, as represented by the God and the Church itself, as it were. We've got Bishop Graham. Graham.
Hello, I'm Graham Usher, I'm the Bishop of Norwich and one of the Lords Spiritual. But I'm also here leading the Anglican Church's delegation from across the world, which is a wonderful group, particularly of Indigenous and young people.
And I think it's so good that, along with the MPs from the House of Commons, we have the House of Lords representing yourself, and I think it's going to be really important, isn't it, for members of the House of Lords to be engaging closely in these issues around implementation of the Global Biodiversity Framework as well.
Well, I'm an ecologist by background, and so I tend to speak on ecological matters in the House of Lords, scrutinising bills, hopefully offering some ideas and suggestions, some challenge from time to time to enable better legislation and to see conservation and climate at the heart of all our decision making in Parliament.
Very good. Well, great that you're here. And then we also have Anna. Welcome. Great that you're here. Tell us your name and your constituency.
I'm Anna Gelderd. I'm the new Labour MP for South East Cornwall.
And Anna, what have you made of it here, being at this COP?
It's been amazing to be here. It's not my first COP, but it's definitely my first COP as a Labour MP. And having constituents who continuously told me throughout the campaign that climate and nature was one of their top issues they want to see action on. They're telling me stories about the local Cornish black bee population, which we've really been working on locally at Mount Edgecombe to try and, make sure we maintain. So these are things that go to people's hearts and minds. They want to see species in their gardens continuing to thrive, and they know that it takes local action, but also global action here. And it's great to be here.
Really good to have you here. And I just want to say, we have to remember that 2 years ago, the Global Biodiversity Framework was enthusiastically signed up to by a Conservative government, and it was great that it was signed up to by that government. Since then, we've got the new Labour government that has enthusiastically committed to deliver the Global Biodiversity Framework. Of course, there's support across the parties here as well. And it's going to be tough, it's going to be hard work to make sure we deliver the Global Biodiversity Framework in the UK. For example, that target of 30 by 30, getting 30% of our land and sea in recovery by 2030. That's just 5 years' time. And in England, for example, we're currently at around 4%. There's a mountain to climb there. We're going to need all the support from across the political parties and engagement from all parliamentarians on all sides of the benches and in the House of Lords, people working together to make sure in the UK we deliver the Global Biodiversity Framework. And we really offer that sort of leadership and support to the world that the UK can play its part in restoring nature and implementing that framework that is going to turn things around and make sure that in the 21st century we can look forward to more nature, not less.
Well, thank you very much, Craig, and thank you to our MPs and our Lord that was we're being interviewed there. Really fantastic to see them. This is so fundamental that we get our politicians involved in this nature restoration debate. We are one of the most depleted nations on earth, and we've really got to do the heavy lifting now. If we want to make this Convention of Biological Diversity work, if we want to turn around this nature and climate crisis, they're inextricably linked, we've really got to get our politicians involved in this nature debate. We've got to make them really think through what it means to sign an international convention and then apply that at home in the UK, in the towns and cities that we live in.